I think Little Caesars should have a Michelin star.
Whoa. That's actually a hot take.
That's
But yeah, there are a lot of other reasons too. But
there's many reasons it should have a Michelin.
But yeah.
Just give them one.
Just give them one.
Come on.
Welcome to Viewpoints, our weekly show where we discuss the latest surrounding the world of games. Today, I'm joined by Tim Rogers.
That's me.
And today's viewpoint is stop calling games guilty pleasures.
Yeah, let's all stop doing that.
Just cut it out, please. I guess this has all been spawned because of the recent release of DMC 5.
We should say Devil May
Devil
Cry
May Cry 5, right.
So people don't confuse it with the fifth Run DMC album. My formative years learning to play video games and learning to like video games were all, my mom would rent games at the video rental shop at the supermarket and bring them to us. And we had no say in what the games were. And that was basically how I learned what games were. And we had magazines like Nintendo Power, but they didn't assess the game with any sort of a numerical score. So I had no brainwashing about what a good or a bad game was. And I just played a million NES games, and I realize now a lot of them are bad. I have a second iPhone, like an old iPhone, like one that I don't use anymore. It's an old and busted one that I use to listen to white noise when I sleep.
Oh, wow.
It has YouTube comments notifications on, right?
Yeah.
So I'll go in and I'll just go down our list of new comments,
right.
And I'll just be deleting the hateful, vile, weird stuff.
Yeah.
My finger stopped upon, there were so many hateful comments beneath this innocuous, wholesome live stream archive of me playing the new EDF, Earth Defense Force.
Yeah.
Earth Defense Force. There was a comment that was like, and I'm just like reflexively hitting delete.
Right.
And my finger stops upon a comment that says, "Love EDF so much, ! My guilty pleasure, heart." And I immediately click delete. And then a thing pops up that goes, "Are you sure you want to delete this?" And I suddenly go, "Whoa." I go, "Wait, no." My reflex is good. My reflex for deleting comments is good. I feel like I've trained it very well.
Right.
So it's like, clearly, this set me off, and I was going to delete this guy because he said guilty pleasure.
Right.
So I didn't delete it. I caught myself just in time. I did not commit thought policery, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to talk to that guy.
Right.
That's what I want to do on this show.
That one specific YouTube commenter, yeah.
You don't need to hate or feel guilty about yourself because you like shooting big alien bugs. Right. They're going to kill all the humans in the world. The game is dumb.
Right.
It is trash, but it's super good.
Yeah.
It's super great.
I think that's kind of like, it's kind of, you mentioned back in the day getting these games from the supermarket. Like it was like you were like a part of a subscription service without even knowing it back then, right?
Exactly.
And your mom was the curator. But
It was weird totalitarian Netflix. It was some strange thing.
There's this weird thing where like, especially with games, right? Like games have advanced so quickly in such a short time where like just 20 years ago, it's like getting a peek into like, Charlie Chaplin films or something, right? Or even 30 years ago. And that's kind of amazing that it's evolved and it's changed so fast with the times and the technology. But I think like at the root of it all, like that's why we still call them games, right? I think ultimately at the root of it all they kind of started off as these distractions. These like, you put a quarter in, you play for a specific amount of time. It's designed to get you to spend more quarters and get you to spend more money, right?
So that could be where the guilt comes from. People
right.
felt guilty for spending so much money to do something ultimately lacking in any sort of, look, I hope this isn't a groundbreaking opinion, but Pac-Man lacks in narrative catharsis, right?
Right.
There's no ultimate climax of that story where you're like, wow, I'm glad I spent all this money. It's chasing a high score. So maybe people did feel kind of like gamblers or addicts, and there was this lingering guilt.
Yeah.
I feel like, that must survive now.
For sure.
That opinion must survive in like the gamer's subconscious now.
Yeah, and
right?
it's this weird thing too where it's kind of shifting now as well because you're just, not you, the collective you out there, and maybe even us sometimes, because we're human, we'll sort of gravitate towards the thing that has this like deep emotional, subtext or whatever, and this thing that it has to say, right? And like those things are great, but also, like, it's fun to enjoy trash games. Like, I love Bayonetta.
Love Bayonetta. Bayonetta's just this weird collision of 70s anime tropes and strange Eurobeat music and just this weird over-the-top over the top, god darn everything. She's got guns in her shoes, for God's sake.
In her heels.
Yeah, and her hair makes up her clothes. And her glasses are so bad.
They're really bad.
They're so bad. It's like she wears glasses as like a big point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the glasses look like. It's just that she wears them. But then the action is flawless. It's this perfectly oiled machine. Same thing with Devil May Cry 5. The action is perfect. So you can play the game and get something great out of it. It's not like a movie where a long time ago there might have been these elitists, these people who only wanted to talk about art, right? They only wanted to talk about the movies that were art. It's like in the video game, you are participating, you're doing something. Your attention is like required. So it's okay for it to play well, right?
Of course, yeah.
There are probably some people out there were people in the 60s, critics, who said movies don't need to be enjoyable to watch. In fact, movies that are enjoyable to watch, like they literally came within a razor's edge of saying movies that aren't enjoyable to watch are the only ones that can be art. They came within like a hair's breadth of saying that. There was we were talking yesterday about the famous Pauline Kael essay. It gets quoted way too often about trash art in the movies, which she wrote in 1969, 50 years ago.
And it's still just as like relevant.
50 years ago, you can carry pretty much everything. Every criticism she has of critics in there, you can carry it over to the modern era in some way. But the famous quote from that is, movies are so rarely great art that unless we cannot appreciate great trash, there is no reason to be interested in them, right? Now, when she was talking about trash, she was talking about genre movies.
Sure.
And she was talking about movies where the craft isn't perfect, where the makers of the game made the bare minimum effort to make sure it wasn't objectively wrong. She says in the opening paragraph, the example she gives is, we can find joy when a cowboy shoots a bullet through 3 bad guys at the same time. And it's like, that's exactly
That's
it.
a DMC5 right there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. One of her like big points, the main big point of that is talking about the way the thing is made is not relevant.
Right.
You don't talk about what Renoir's technique, you talk about what he did, what he made. So I feel the same way about Devil May Cry. We don't, like, people are going to talk about the story. I'm sure that there's some imaginary critic out there. I haven't looked at any reviews outside of Kotaku.com and my own video. I'm sure there's some imaginary critic out there who's like, the game is good, but
it's lacking here and there.
The story is kind of dumb. You don't have to feel guilty for liking it. It's so well made.
Yeah.
And I know we're not supposed to talk about how well something is made.
Sure.
You can, nowadays, Pauline Kael is dead. Literally. Rest in peace. It's okay to talk about how a video game is made, though. It's okay to talk about the game designers putting in extreme work, because there's so many different teams. There's people writing the story, designing the characters.
Right.
There's also people designing the gameplay, which is so good.
It's like 2 trains moving together at the same time.
Yeah.
And eventually they have to sort of merge, like to create, like, games are just like, how do they pull this off? They're like, they're magic, they're miracles, right?
In the case of Devil May Cry, eventually they're going to both derail at the same time and barrel roll toward each other,
yeah.
And then combine into a fighter jet. That's how
beautiful.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But I always think about whatever wins, like Best Picture, for example, like, I mean, Moonlight, I love Moonlight. I think it definitely, deserved its accolades.
That was a weird case of him.
That was a weird case of when it's like,
winning,
you deserve that Best Picture.
Yeah, good job.
But if you think about what actually like moves the needle most times, especially like from a cultural perspective, like you think about like the Black Panthers of the world, or like the Into the Spider-Verse and stuff like that, like things that are more palatable for a larger audience, things that are more fun, that we laugh and clap at and we rewatch 3 times, as opposed to like, I'm probably not going to rewatch whatever depressing movie won Best Picture again.
I think the line between trash and art at the movies is so microscopic right now.
Right.
Something like Spider-Verse would have gotten thumbs downs and 2 stars and 4 out of 10 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just now I feel like critics have generally chilled out.
Yeah.
These Marvel movies always get like in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, 90s, 80s, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know all the Marvel movies.
It's also why I love, it's why I own the boxed set of like the Fast and Furious franchise, because like those movies are so ridiculous and over the top.
They're incredibly good.
And they're very self-aware at the same time. The same way that these over-the-top games that we consider trash are.
I saw Fast and the Furious come up a lot in when I was talking about Crackdown.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, I loved Crackdown 3, critics hated it. A lot of commenters on my video were like, why do you like this game? Because critics hate it. And I had to get all professorial.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
It's
So
fine.
let this video stand as another instance of that, a more formal instance,
Yeah.
saying it's okay. If you like it, that's great.
Yeah, if you like it, that's fine. That's
And I
totally
like
fine.
so much terrible stuff.
Me too.
You should see my book collection. You've seen the t-shirts I wear.
Yeah, it's true. I have seen the t-shirt.
I wear NASCAR shirts. I love them. I like NASCAR. So what?
Thanks for watching, and let us know what some of your favorite guilty pleasures are, and leave a comment down below. Peace.